of precise determinism do not apply. On the larger scale, he made the averaged behavior of matter sensible and predictable, just like I was showing you with my circles, making it possible to construct organisms and environments that work according to natural laws, and we were sure to discover them. Then he ensured that the behavior of the material fine structure of the universe was inherently unpredictable due to the multiple effects of quantum indeterminacy. This would allow his creatures to develop a science that applies to large-scale interactions, but one that is forever forbidden from grasping the detailed behavior of the units from which the material world is fashioned. That, of course, is exactly the world we live in. To be sure, there's nothing about quantum indeterminacy at the base of our existence that proves it was the work of God. That's true. We can't prove that's the way it happened. Or as a design of the universe clearly put there by an intelligent force to accommodate living things. However, if there is a God, consider what a masterstroke quantum indeterminacy is. To create an orderly material world that didn't require constant intervention, the Creator had to make things obey defined laws. But if those laws were to run all the way down to the building blocks of matter, they would have all been denied free will. They would have made it possible for his creatures, eventually, to figure out that all the past events and all the future ones could be inferred from a single reading of the state of the physical world at any time. Remarkably, what quantum indeterminacy does is to deny us the possibility of that ever happening. We cannot uncritically extrapolate the details of the present backwards to learn the past, and the future is what we make of it. It's wide open for us to decide what to do. Were this not the case, the future would be what our particles make us. Instead, we are inextricably locked into the present with our thoughts, words, and deeds helping to construct the future. A future that remains open to our own choices, a world of possibilities. And that's where life gets its meaning. Having chosen to base the lives of his creatures on the properties of matter, why not draw the origins of his creatures from exactly the same source? There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't take away God that we evolved. God's wish for consistency in his relations with the natural world would have made this a perfect choice. As his great creation burst forth from the singularity of its origin, his laws would have set within it, in the seeds of the galaxies, the stars, and the planets, the potential for life, the inevitability of change, and the confidence of emerging intelligence. When creatures evolved who were ready to know him, beings worthy of souls, his work would have reached a pinnacle of power and subtlety. That is the point, the religious person might say, where God decided to reveal himself to us. And that revelation, in all the traditions, is understood as persuasive without being forceful, compelling, and not coercive. The Western God stands back from his creation, not to absent himself, not to abandon his creatures, but to allow his people true freedom. A God who hovers in all of his visible power and majesty over every step taken by mere mortals never allows them the independence that true love, true goodness, and true obedience requires. For our freedom in this world to be genuine, we must have the capacity to choose good or evil. And we must be allowed to face the consequences of our own actions. No God could have created individuals who were free to sin, but never chose to do so. As Barber points out, virtues come into being only in the moral struggle of real decisions, not ready-made by divine fiat. Having lived through much of a century that has been unspeakably evil visited upon mankind, I think it's clear that no person could maintain their faith in God's goodness if they believed he was the reason for such bloodshed and horror. But is God the reason for that? No. our sins are made on earth, not in heaven. If we choose to trace any of them to God, we will find at their sources only the values that He places on human freedom. The ultimate purpose of the work of this God may never be understood by the mind of man. Perhaps it was, as the Baltimore Catechism told me so long ago, that God wanted to be known, loved, and served. If that is true, He did so by devising a universe that would make knowledge, love, and service meaningful. Seen in this way, evolution was much more than an indirect pathway to get to you and me. By choosing evolution as His way to fashion the living world, He emphasized our material nature and our unity with the other forms of life. He made the world today contingent upon the events of the past. He made our choices matter, our actions genuine, and our lives important. In the final analysis, He used evolution as a tool to set us free. That's why I think Ken Miller has helped me keep my faith, not only in the absolute astonishing power and reality of evolution, but also in the power and reality of God.